importance. In fact, when you look at how Zimbabwe was able to leapfrog the rights of women in Zimbabwe, it was after the formation of the Women's Parliamentary Caucus. So you are really front and center in advancing the rights of women. Because also you frame the laws, and that's the starting point. So thank you for making that point. I didn't have the privilege of going with us to CSW, but I felt your presence. I felt what was happening and celebrated with all of us. So I'll limit my comments to the action plan. And really to build on what Honorable Njovana said, that Zimbabwe has come a long way. We've done a lot of groundbreaking work, which other countries can just look at and envy. And I'm hoping that as part of our candidature to the CSW committee, I can competently profile that, because the world has a lot to learn from Zimbabwe. And it brings me to our action point, that it's very important for us to look at the history and the genesis of the advancement of women's human rights in Zimbabwe. So rather than to project an action plan that looks at issues as new issues, we need to hang them on the work that we have done. I know that Zimbabwe, through the National AIDS Council, did a lot of groundbreaking work around unpaid care work for women. And so we need to build on that. And we need to write and put it out there for the world to learn, because they have a lot to learn. Similarly, on positive masculinity, a lot of work has been done. On gender responsive budgeting, a lot of work has been done. So we need to dig into our archives and build on that, rather than to start and restart. You know, I kept whispering to talk about that, but we did that before. We talked about that 10 years ago. It's the way that we couch it. And I want to end my comments on the role of the National Machinery for Women's Advancement. Again, looking behind the Women's Parliamentary Caucus and the National Machinery setting standards, leading, doing catalytic work, has taken us to where we are on women's human rights. So I would urge us that in preparing this plan, we profile that role of the ministry, so that we separate implementers from leaders, from standard bearers, from those that trigger catalytic work. I think that is very important, and coordination comes with that. So I would like to see our action plan reflect that. And then CD asked me to speak a little around, I missed CSW, but I was able, by the leadership of the PS and the minister, to go immediately after. As soon as my visa became available, I went to New York. It's not a walk in the park. It's a highly competitive process. But and one of the things that I saw is that it matters what we do at every stage in our lives. It's not an accident. You know, it's part of the master plan. For the first time, I think, in my life, I realized that I was a civil servant, that I worked for NGOs, that I worked for the United Nations, that I'm a development consultant. All of it matters. All of it matters. And it works together to meet this, to come up with this beautiful tapestry of Zimbabwe. I met 40 countries, delegates, what are called the officers that actually vote. I met 40 of them. And I want to commend our embassy, that relationships matter. Working in silos will not get you anywhere. Do you know that we were the only, because you pitch your tent in what is called a delegates lounge, you pitch your flag, your national flag, and the delegates come back to back. We never had a dull moment. We were busy, and some countries actually came to say, we want to see Zimbabwe's candidate. And all of them were saying, as if they were reading from the same script, Zimbabwe is serious about its candidature. It has invested. You are one of two countries on the African continent that has been endorsed by the AU because you are team players. And there was a lot of appreciation for Zimbabwe, the country, and the way that we do business. So where are we now? It's difficult to tell. Difficult to tell in that instructions on who to vote for come from headquarters. But I can assure you that I put my best foot forward. And I was asked by one or two countries, but where were you? Why have you not been put forward before? I said I had other assignments my country wanted to do. This was the best time for us now. So how do I feel? I think I have a good feeling. It's amazing. It's a privilege to represent your country. And you feel the burden of responsibility. And you feel the importance of telling the true story of your country without exaggeration. Because Zimbabwe has done groundbreaking work. I can tell you that there are very few countries on the African continent and even globally that criminalize marital rape. And it has not come cheap. It is because of the collaborative work of Zimbabwe with the national machinery leading the way and setting the standards. That's why I'm really jealous about that coordination and leadership role of the ministry, so that we do not drop the ball. I could say more, but I think we are on a good footing. When I left, my embassy hugged me and said, Njovana, we're so proud of you. You are a formidable candidate. So I'm blowing my own right there. But those were the parting remarks from my own embassy. They said, we are so proud of you. We are so happy for our country. Let's keep working and getting, but you can never be sure. The best you can do is to do your best and seek God's favor over all of it. Thank you very much.